Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Complete Sports Media's podcast. I'm your host, Darren Campbell. Joining me, as usual, on a sunny Monday, Jason Cameron, doing a great wrap-up of sports. Hey, buddy, how are you? Great to have you in here. How was your weekend?
Weekend was good. It was really good. Unfortunately, I was supposed to go see the fights with a friend. Kind of fell through. I think one of his little ones got sick. And so
Damn.
he was like, I don't know what kind of sickness this is. I don't want to give it to you. It's funny now when it comes to like family members being sick because there's a little bit of a reservation. It depends on who you are, but there's a
Sure.
little bit of reservation, which is like, it could be just a sickness or it could be that thing called COVID. I don't know if you care,
Yeah.
but I kind of care. So just don't come over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And it's kind
sure.
of weird, but
Yeah,
it is.
that has changed the landscape of things. I think we used to not really be too worried about it, but now you're like, yeah, I don't want to be knocked out for a week with something like this, and maybe give it to other people too and stuff. So yeah, as soon as somebody, especially kids too, because I think kids seem to get things from school and then they come home and
Yeah.
spread it to the family, and then those people spread it all over. So yeah, I get it. That must have been a little bit shitty though, because it would have been fun to be watching it with some people.
Yeah, well, it would have been. It would have been, but it's okay. It's okay. Like at the end of the day, still managed to see it. Saw some craziness, obviously, with the railing giving way and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's my. You know what? Here's a real question. Real question. Are the railings not there, like to be reinforced that if people are leaning against it, they're not going to fall over and die, right?
Yeah.
That's why we actually have railings.
Yeah.
So is it all of those fans' fault that had like maybe it was like maybe 20 people were leaning on the railing? So is it their fault? And if they crack their head open, it's like, well, you're a moron. That's what you deserve. Is that the message?
Well, yeah, Rogers Arena might try to pull that off. It's hard to make that argument to a sane person and to
Yeah,
normal people. You think you're safe, going to places, and you're not going to be, having that kind of stuff happen. But unfortunately, we do see it in sports. Fans get a little overzealous. This is the walkout zone where these fans were leaning over the railing. They're trying to get touching the hand of the fighter. They're trying to maybe get a little bit of maybe a shirt, maybe a hat, maybe some
yeah,
kind of connection. Some of them, obviously as it goes up and up and up, harder and harder for fans to reach down. So some of those top people are probably the ones that cause the thing to flip over and collapse, but you'd think they'd be pretty reinforced. You're going to have people holding on to that rail as they're going down into their seats. They're going to be, it just doesn't make sense that it could collapse like that. And even just with some people leaning over it.
yeah. Because here's the thing: I believe UFC does this at arenas all across the country in the U.S. Right? I've never seen that happen in any other arena.
No, that's true.
So,
Yeah.
so is it because other arenas? Well, they were built right, right? like we did it the right way. That's why
Yeah.
we haven't had those things happen to us. But when you come to Canada, well, it's a crapshoot. We don't know if the railings will work. We don't know.
Yeah. I, yeah, that's hilarious that you say that. Yeah. Coming in, it's a big crapshoot. Just roll the dice.
Roll the dice, man. I don't
Yeah.
know. Might make it.
It's a different configuration. Obviously, when you have a hockey there, or you have basketball there, you have fighting there, you have concerts there. I think it's all different. Those must be some type of rollout stands that come out of the end, because there's never that type of an opening for the hockey.
Yeah.
For basketball or hockey, there's never that kind of huge opening. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if those are just temporary that the UFC would have had to bring out and set up, or that's the Rogers Arena. I don't know, but yeah, that was bizarre, and that's probably one of the only blemishes and black marks on this event. For the most part, the event was really spectacular, and I've just heard so many positive things about it. I was there and I didn't even see the railing collapse. So, it didn't enter into my thought process on how great the night was. But this was one of my favorite events ever, one of my favorite UFCs I've ever been to. And a really incredible event that just seemed to, if I wanted to write a script on UFC 289 and all the deals, I don't think I could have written a better script. It just played out perfectly.
Yeah, it was a great night. Well, how about this? It was a great night for Canadians. Number one, first and foremost.
Yes.
I believe they went 5-0.
Six and 0 actually.
Sorry.
Yeah.
6-0.
Yeah. So
even better.
unreal.
So
yeah.
Great night for Canadians.
Yeah.
Great night for Canadian fighters. And yeah, man, it was a fun event and unexpected, especially in the main cards. What happened after?
When I was a young guy, I dabbled into drugs and alcohol, just like a lot of young teenagers do. And you feel the peer pressure at times. You want to, fit in. You want to go to parties. You want to meet people. You want to do things. And obviously, you get high off of drugs or alcohol, and you get this feeling. And I was like, whoa, I kind of like this feeling. And, so did other people that were around me. Hey, this is great. Well, try this, try that. Let's do this. Let's party. Let's have fun. And getting high and stuff was starting to become something that I like to do. And then I decided to quit doing anything, any kind of drugs. Just said, forget it. Don't want into my life. Saw problems that people having that were doing too much drugs. And I ended up going to a college and I graduated from a course that I took. It was a 6-month pre-apprenticeship carpentry course. And the day that I got the graduation, I got the certificate and they said, congratulations, you are certified and you can move on. I got this high and I couldn't believe that I could get a high from something like that. I never had really experienced that. I never knew that that was a possibility. And so I thought, whoa, I wish I knew that when I was a kid. Like maybe I would have steered myself away from drugs and tried to get high off of accomplishments, off of things that I was able to achieve. And so I was like, okay, this is good. I know ways to get myself high and I don't have to miss those highs that were fun, but had, detrimental effects to my life. I felt high on Saturday night. I felt high all day Sunday because of this event, because of this whole week preceding up to it. I had been waiting a really long time for the UFC to return to Canada. You and I were at the last UFC that was in Vancouver. It was September 14th of 2019. And that seems like a long time ago. We went through the pandemic. We went through craziness. We went through a really lot of tough things. Hard to travel, hard to do a lot of things that we used to do. Thinking of going to events. Now it's like, should I? I used to just be like 100%. I'm in every time. This world has changed, and now the UFC comes back, and the whole week was spectacular for me. I got to go to these amazing conferences, the press conference, the weigh-ins. I got to meet and greet with fighters. I got so many great events, and then I'm there at the event, and the crowd, the energy that you feel in there is just electric when it's good. I've talked many times on this podcast when Tristan Connolly was able to beat Michelle Pereira. The energy, the electricity, the crowd noise was deafening, and it was like, holy cow, I'm so glad I'm here, type of feeling. Goosebumps and things like that. I was feeling that almost entirely through the evening, and it started just slowly building. The first Canadian comes out and she wins her fight. And then Kyle Nelson, he wins his fight. And you're like, oh my God. And then Ayman Zahabi comes out and gets a spectacular KO win. And oh man, the crowd, you could just feel it. As the fighters came out, the sounds were louder. The people were cheering more. The whole energy was just getting electrified. And it just was an incredible experience that I haven't felt in a really long time at a live event. And when I left there, I was high and I was like, holy cow, this is a feeling that I love to feel. And the money that I spent ends up being worth it when you can feel that kind of feeling around going out and being in and amongst people trying to enjoy the same thing you are.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. I know exactly what you're talking about. I know those highs. I remember feeling sometimes those highs from playing basketball when I was a young man, playing those games that were right on the line, and then you win, and then you feel the elation with your teammate. You're just like, oh, I need to feel this again. This is awesome. Like, you know what I mean? And then I also felt that for the first time I went to see a UFC in Seattle. It was the first UFC in Seattle, because I remember there was so many cool things that happened at that UFC that made it so awesome. First thing that happened was I had to go back down to my friend's car to grab shoes out of the car that I left in his car. So as I walk out of our place that we were staying at, the apartment or the hotel room that we were staying at,
right?
I walk out of there, and who do I run into? First person I run into, Anderson Silva.
Wow.
I run right into Anderson Silva, and I go, and Anderson Silva in his high voice goes, hello. And I'm like, hey, Anderson, do me a favor. He goes, what's that? Don't go anywhere. Stay right there. Stay right there. I come running back into the room. My friend is in the shower going, what's happening? I go, I have no time to talk to you. No time. Grab the camera, go back out, take a picture with Anderson. He takes a look at the picture to make sure it's a good one. He goes, that's not good enough.
Not good enough.
We take 2 more pictures. He took some pictures of those 2. He goes, that's good.
Holy.
What happens next is something straight out of a movie. Because what happens is my friend comes running out of the hotel room as well in a bathrobe, and he's still wet. Came out the shower. Anderson starts laughing his ass off and says, let's do it. Come over. And we take a picture of him, still wet, straight out of the shower.
Wow.
With Anderson Silva.
Holy cow, that's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, what a kickoff to the week, to the day.
Yes, exactly. So what you're saying, I totally understand. I get it. Like when you have that electricity, when you feel it, and then it just keeps building upon itself. It's the momentum keeps building. It's an incredible feeling. It's absolutely.
Yeah, no, it just was so special. I mentioned to some people, we were in presence of 2 of the greatest of all time. Amanda Nunes is going to go down as the greatest female mixed martial arts fighter of all time. Definitely Hall of Famer, and the best of the best. George St. Pierre was just to my right, one of the greatest of all time. To me, probably top 2 or 3 of all time. And one of the reasons why that place is packed, one of the reasons why many of those Canadians are in there fighting, because of George St. Pierre and the success he was able to have in his career. And then I look to my left, and Daniel Cormier, Hall of Famer, 2-time champion, is sitting there. It's great to be amongst greatness at a sport that you appreciate, really are passionate about. And we talk about it every single week. It is so nice to be amongst the greatest of all time.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's great, and it just builds upon itself. Like it just builds upon itself. The only thing that I'm kind of disappointed in, like in the broadcast, since I was watching it on TV, I'm pretty sure I'm not wrong in this, but they never showed that GSP was there.
Strange.
At least from what I was watching. I don't know if I may have stepped out and missed it. I don't think I did, though. They never showed that. And I thought, okay, so you're in Canada, and one of our greatest Canadians, one of the greatest guys ever to compete in your sport is here, and you don't draw any attention to that. I was like,
no, it's a drop in the ball. That's definitely.
I was like, as soon as you showed me the picture of him being there, and I was like, they haven't even mentioned that he was there. I wasn't too impressed by that.
Yeah, that's dumb. That seems super dumb. Yeah. Above my head, you can see Go Canada. That also had such a big element of it. The Canadians. I'm a very, very proud Canadian. I love the US. I love many, many countries in the world, but Canada, I think, is an amazing place. And it's so nice when we can showcase it. We can have people come here, see its beauty, see why we love it here. And it's nice that the UFC can come. They can show some shots of it. They can talk about it. They can, you can get the feeling of the crowd and how much we are, we love the sport and we're, such passionate about it. I really am happy when I can see people waving the Canadian flag and being patriotic. It means a lot to me. It makes me feel really, really good.
Yeah, no, it's great to have that patriotism, and it's also fantastic to see that our fighters are doing so well in the sport, and especially on that particular night, going 6-0.
So I definitely want to go fight by fight through the UFC, but I do want to just take a slight detour, and I want to talk about another Canadiana moment that happened yesterday. So yesterday I wake up in the morning and I'm still high from the UFC, and I really want to, just absorb more of it and talk to more friends and people about it. And then I get a text from a friend said, "Hey, you want to go golfing?" So I said, "Yeah, sure, let's do it." So I ended up getting ready and heading out and playing golf with him. And I'm telling him about the night before and how amazing it is, and how I can't wait to get home later and watch the Canadian Open, which is taking place in Toronto at a course called Oakdale. And it's the Canadian Open golf tournament. Happens annually. A lot of Canadians are in the mix, and usually, never quite get there, but are always up close to the top of the leaderboard. There was two guys, Canadian, that had a chance. And the crazy thing is the Canadian Open has not been won by a Canadian since 1954. 69 years ago, it was won by a guy named Pat Fletcher here at the Point Grey Golf Club, not far from where I currently am sitting. He was the last Canadian to ever hoist the trophy from the Canadian Open. And we've had a few chances close. Mike Weir came really close, had a playoff, lost to Vijay Singh a few years back, but we've never been able to break that curse, that drought, and finally get a guy. Well, we had a guy in contention. I raced home. I turned it on. He was close to the lead. Then he takes the lead, and the momentum started going. The fan support was just unbelievable. Like I said, in the Rogers Arena that night, there was, I think, 17,000. I heard there was 150,000 people at this golf tournament cheering on. Nick Taylor is his name. And it ended up having to go to a playoff. They played 4 extra playoff holes, and he comes up to the 18th hole again for the third time in this 4-hole playoff, and had a 72-foot putt. If he hits it, he wins the tournament, and he does. And the place went just absolutely bananas. Everybody was cheering, jumping around, spraying champagne on him. One of his best buddies, who's also a professional golfer that played in this tournament, had a bottle of champagne and was running towards him to spray it. And a security guard thought he was just a crazed fan and tackled him so brutally. The guy just decleated him. He tackled him onto the green. He just got absolutely munched by this guy. It was, it went viral. It's been crazy. I'll put a clip on the website when I post this, but it was one of the craziest tackles you'll ever see. You're not even going to see a better tackle in an NFL football game than this tackle. But this guy got to celebrate, break this drought, win the tournament. And oh my God, it was another Canadiana moment that was added on top of what I had experienced the night before. And it just was like, holy cow, this is great. What a weekend for Canada. What a really great way to showcase how good we are from Ontario all the way out here to BC and across. What an amazing nation. And it's so nice when our Canadians can do well on the big stage and win things like that as well.
Yeah, no, it's awesome when that happens. And if I'm the guy that Nick Taylor that won, who's like, yes, and he goes, hey, that's my buddy. Oh, he's just like, I'm taking it out hard. It's like, that'd be fun. Yeah.
You can see I've seen it from a lot of different angles, and and you can see from one angle his caddy sees his buddy getting taken down and immediately leaves Nick and runs over to say like, no, that's our buddy. Like, get off him. He's okay. He's fine to be in here.
Yeah.
Because he was like, whoa, what the this happened there? And then he sees that it's this guy. And both guys, okay, I failed to mention this. Both guys are BC guys. And Adam Hadwin is an Abbotsford guy. And so, he just becomes the second most famous Abbotsford guy we have on the podcast. I know you're always going to be number one, but this is an Abbotsford guy that wins this national championship.
Oh, that's impressive. That's impressive, and it's a great day for Canada. It's a great day for Canada, and like especially with all this live stuff that has now happened and everything else. You know what? That can be an aside for now because like this is what takes.
No, it took a back seat because the results about that merger happened on Tuesday when most of the people were arriving for the Canadian Open. And it was like a little bit like everybody taken aback by it. And they had to have a player meeting and they were all like, fire the guy. Oh, this is no good. And then everybody had to regroup and play this golf tournament. And it was crazy. I also want to point out for people, Canadian people, and just people in general, try to find some of the footage of one of the holes in the Canadian Open. They put up hockey boards all along the tee box, and they put hockey boards down around the green, and they call it the rink. And it's like you're playing golf in a hockey rink. It's really pretty neat and super cool. It looks amazing, and obviously hockey's always been Canada's #1 sport, and it kind of is cool that they add that element to the golf course too.
That's actually awesome. I didn't even think they would be allowed to do that because of the PGA rules, but I'm glad that they did. And I'm glad that they do like these gimmick things sometimes because like it just adds excitement, adds a different element to like the golf game, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah. One of the caddies of the guys, he was sporting a Maple Leafs jersey. And on the back of it, Jeff O'Neill that does Overdrive, O-Dog, his name was on the back, but it was spelt wrong. And everybody was just like, what the hell? Who's O'Neill? Where the E and the I are switched? This is weird. So he comes on Overdrive and he said, yeah, I gave it to the guy. I went to this charity game a couple years back and I showed up and they handed me the jersey and I saw they had my name spelt wrong. He's like, they had no chance to change it. So he goes, it was never really one of my prized possessions. I can't really put it on the wall and it's spelt wrong. So he's like, I just handed it off to a buddy there, and at least he could sport the Leafs, while he's walking around the course. And I thought that was a pretty funny story.
That's pretty good because like, the other guy could have been like, no, that's my last name. That's just how I saw it. Sound like a weirdo. Got it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. Why don't we get a little more into that UFC? I obviously, usually we typically start at the main event. Why don't we again? I guess the thing that I take away from the main event is that Amanda Nunes, remained the GOAT, dominating one-sided performance here. It wasn't even close. This was, lots of the scores were 50-44, 50-44, 50-43. I saw, this was definitely just a one-sided affair. What really surprised me, and I heard a bit of rumors, but I didn't really think this was actually going to take place, but she decided to retire, put down the 2 belts, put down her gloves in between, kissed the belts, and said goodbye to the UFC. Kind of crazy. I'm kind of shocked that a 2-belt champion at 35 years old and still so dominant would walk away from the sport at this point.
I was surprised too. I'm going to be honest. I think she was possibly thinking that when she lost to Juliana Pena. I think there might have been that inkling of, I don't know if I want to do this anymore, because as far as I'm concerned, that was just a weird fight. It was a fight that she shouldn't have lost, right? And so I think
she threw it though, but
that's what you think. That's what you think. But I think even from back then, she was having thoughts of retirement from that fight, that moment. So she came back solidified she's still the champ, beat Pena, had this fight against who was it, Aldana, and just blew her out. And the other thing is Aldana just, I think she was like what Daniel Cormier likes to say. She was taking pictures. I think she was just like, wow, I'm fighting the champ, and then keep getting punched in the face by the champ and not returning fire. She never really did. She didn't do not nearly enough volume to be even remotely competitive in this fight.
Yeah.
So that's why she lost.
I actually started feeling that that's what was happening. Sometimes, you get stars in your eyes. You're like, holy shit. I think, there is that saying, and I think it was Tyson that said it, everybody's got a plan until they're punched in the face. And, Nunes is such a puzzle. How do you defeat her? They might have had a game plan, but probably that game plan got neutralized and shut down so quickly and so easily because of the difference in skill that you're sort of like, what am I going to do now? She just didn't seem to have it. She just didn't seem to have it.
No, she didn't. And also, too, there was many times where I think in the first and second rounds, especially, where Nunes would do a trip, put her to the mat, wouldn't even bother following down. It's like, no, get back to your feet so I can beat you up again.
Yeah.
Right? Like that was, as far as I'm concerned, I thought that was just extremely disrespectful. It's like, no, it's not even worth my time for me to even go down there. Right. It'll be too easy then. Yeah. She did eventually in the later rounds just to make sure that she solidified her rounds. But at that, by that time, it's like, okay, this is a one-sided affair. This fight is literally over. But at the same time, I was a little bit surprised that she did decide to hang him up. And then the way that she did it, she seemed like she was all over the place. I didn't even know what she was doing at first. I was like, I don't know. Because like her English is broken, right? So I'm just like, no. What is she doing?
Here? Yeah.
I think it took a while for me to even get it, but I did. And I think, you know what? End of the day, she elevated the sport once again. It was Ronda Rousey, and that was her taking it to a completely another level for all the ladies involved. And I couldn't be happier for her. She's going to ride off in the sunset. She's made her money. Hey, great, good for her. Good for her. And happy trails to her, whatever endeavor she decides to do next.
Yeah, no, good on her. I never want to tell people to retire. I never want to tell them to unretire. It's your choice. It's a tough sport. It's, you put in your life on the line. It takes a lot of time and discipline, and it's tough. But when she climbed that mountain again and was able to get that second belt back, and she's built her own gym. So she has the ability to train whenever she can and wants to. I know that, she mentioned her daughter and her wife and her family that she wants to be spending a lot more time with. And I get that. But, I don't think another 2 or 3 years doing this would, take away too much from that. But, as I said, I don't like to ever tell anybody, about their retirement. But yeah, it just took me a little bit back because she's still so dominant and so great, and she could just keep solidifying that legacy, keep getting a lot more millions of dollars, headlining pay-per-view like this, it's got to bring in a lot of money. And we'll see. It's kind of strange when you have your own gym now. What do you do with it? That kind of thing. But anyway, good on her. Nice to see her get a victory in her last ever fight. She didn't have to end her career on a loss. And she goes out as the greatest of all time. And it'll be hard for any women to surpass what she's been able to achieve.
Oh, no, it's going to be very, very, very hard, very difficult thing to do to try to surpass that greatness. Somebody will, because somebody always does, but I can't see that happening anytime soon. One person that's very happy that she retired, even though that she posted something off Instagram or Twitter or whatever. That would be Juliana Pena saying, "Oh, so you're running from me," and stuff like that. She being a hater. In the same breath, though, she did give her flowers, saying, "Well, congratulations on the retirement," but then she would shade on her again, saying, "I don't know what that was, though. I don't understand it. I couldn't understand it." And so I get it, right? Because Juliana Pena is a ultimate competitor. But what she did, what Nunes did for both divisions, 145, 135, she said, ladies, good luck. Now you have a chance.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I had a chance to meet Juliana this week and get a chance to chat with her. Got a chance to see a press conference with her as well. And a lot of questions were asked of her. And she said that she was going to be the biggest Amanda Nunes fan between 9 and 10 p.m. on that night because she wanted her to win. And then she'd get an opportunity to have a trilogy fight with her because she was sick that she wasn't the one in the cage going in on Saturday night. She was supposed to be there, but broke a rib in training and wasn't able to be. So I think initially she's really upset and sad because I know that she knows if she fights that trilogy fight, probably makes more money than she's ever made in her career. I think she's confidently thinking also that I beat her once, I can beat her twice. Maybe that's unrealistic, but I think she feels and thinks that way deep down. And so I think initially she was upset that Amanda. She was happy that Amanda won, but upset that Amanda lost because she doesn't never get a chance again to face her and get that money as well as that possibility of beating her a second time.
No, that's true. Like, I guess the money actually really hurts, but at the same time, you actually now have a better chance of beating and retaining being the champion for a while because you don't have that monster just lurking in the shadows,
Totally, yeah.
waiting to take you out at some point in time. Now you don't have that. Now she can just fight and then make her own money by being the champion. So
yeah,
there you go.
It's going to be interesting to see what the UFC does with those two divisions, especially this division. The one press conference that I saw, Valentina Shevchenko and Juliana were sitting next to each other, and a lot of fans. There was media questions, and then the fans got questions, and a lot of fans were asking if they would ever fight again. And at first, I think Juliana was all for it, and Valentina said no, and then they both kind of flip-flopped a little bit because there's weight difference. And there was starting to become a little bit, more like, hey, mutual respect between each other here. It was interesting to hear how many questions were asked if those two would, get into combat against each other again, and the possibility of seeing that fight materialize.
No, so they've already fought once before.
Yeah, they have.
And Valentina won, right?
Valentina won.
Now, okay. A quick aside. I also heard there was another question that was asked of Valentina about possibly getting her phone number. Was that a question? Like I swear that I saw that off Instagram. Is that a thing that actually?
Yeah. The guy said, "Are you single?" 2 questions: Are you single? And can I get your phone number? And she said, "Yeah, I am single, but I don't think so about the phone number. Sorry about that." That is that's great that you saw that. That's one good thing about some of these press conferences when fans get the opportunity to ask questions. There are some funny exchanges like that, and some people come up with some witty things, and it ends up being a lot better sometimes than the media questions because it's just off the cuff and hilarious. And there was a little girl that stepped up to the microphone, and I would guess she was about 4 to 5 years old, and John Gooden was the facilitator, and he said, "Oh, this little girl is probably going to have the best question of the whole press conference. Can't wait." And she stepped up and said, "I just wanted to ask how you girls got so powerful." And it was like the whole place erupted in cheers, and the girls both answered, and it was really cool. They said, "Wow, you're so brave to step up in front of this amount of people and ask this question." And both of them pointed to their families being a big reason why they were able to get into martial arts in the first place and be so tough and everything. But it was cool because you definitely see families arrive to these and get some young kids asking questions, and some guys come up with some witty things to ask. And I remember being at one of them, and guy asked if he could sit next to the Octagon girls when the UFC was going to take place the next evening, and he did. I saw him sitting next to them. Another guy asked if he could put the belt around George St. Pierre, and Dana said, "Sure." He said, "I always do it, but I guess." And this guy actually got to put the belt around George St. Pierre when he won. And I heard a guy ask if he could go to Brazil to see a UFC event, and Dana White gave him tickets to go to Brazil. And it's pretty amazing how every single request usually that's made on this microphone, if Dana White's there, he grants them. It's pretty incredible.
So he also gave him tickets for the airfare too, because that's incredible.
Maybe I didn't hear that part. Maybe. But, I asked him for tickets, and he said, "Sure, here you go. Just go talk to that guy, and he'll set you up." And he set me up with cage side seats. I just personally walked up to him and asked him, and he handed me to the guy that gave me the seat. So,
that's awesome. That's awesome, man. Because for me, if I'm like, okay, I'm going to Brazil, right? Well, I'm gonna need them tickets to get there too.
Air tickets too.
Yeah, I'm gonna need that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, for sure. Another thing I wanted to mention was these meet and greets that they put on through the week. Lots of fighters had an opportunity to meet the fans. You got pictures with them. I wanted you to go to our website. If you're watching or listening to this podcast, I want you to go to our website and see a ton of pictures. We took hundreds of pictures over the week. There's some great pictures of me standing next to UFC fighters. And this is the shirts that they were handing out. It's Howler Head is the big sponsor. They are a banana flavored bourbon.
I've had it.
Yeah. Have you had it? Yeah. They were giving out some shots to us while we were there, and it's tasty stuff. And great when sponsors will do stuff like that. They were able to secure really nice venues, the Lamplighter, the Shark Club, different venues around the city, and allow fans to come in there, get a chance to talk to, meet your fighters, do pictures with them, and get some shirts and get some nice swag. We got autographed pictures and stuff, and I had a chance to talk to them. I think we'll be able to get some of them on the podcast from what they say, so that will really help us, and help you get a chance to see some UFC fighters, and maybe you can ask some questions too. But yeah, it was a hell of a great week. And the UFC really knows how to come into a town, make it feel like a big event, and turn into something where fans get access to their favorite athletes where they normally wouldn't.
No, it's they do a good job. They do a good job at access to their fighters, the availability for their fans and stuff. Again, like I can point to, like, going back that first time in Seattle, I got my picture taken with like Robbie Lawler, with Carlos Condit, obviously with Anderson Silva. Yeah, like it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
I do have one regret though. I went to one of the first autograph signings I went to. They gave me this shirt, and I I went home and I changed because I was wearing something different. I was heading out for the evening, so I changed, and I looked at the shirt and I thought, should I put this on? I thought, nah, it's not really what I would wear out for the evening, So I was going to be out in the afternoon, but then I wasn't going to be coming home. So I didn't put it on. And then I get down to the arena, and we're sitting there. There was 2 press conferences happening, and all of a sudden this guy, I see this couple that was at the event, and I saw them getting pictures and autographs and everything. And I saw them walking into the arena and sat behind me. And all of a sudden this guy comes up from the UFC, and he says, "Hey girl, I see you wearing the Howler Head shirt. Would you like to come on stage and meet Dana and get a chance to be amongst all the fighters during the weigh-ins?" And she's like, "Yeah, sure. Can I?" And he's like, yeah, you're wearing the sponsor shirt. You're in. And then this other guy goes, "Hey, I got a shirt," and he pulls it out of his bag. And the guy goes, "Yeah, well, if you put it on, you can come down on stage. And so about half an hour, 45 minutes later, the guy comes back, grabs these two and heads off. And they are on stage during the weigh-ins. As the fighters were facing off against each other, they were all, and I could have been there. It would have been nice to be this close. I saw them, probably could have almost touched the fighters. They were so close. And the guy behind me was her husband, and they had a little kid, small little kid. And I kept hearing the husband turning to people next to him and going, God damn, I'm so jealous. Oh man, look at her. Look at her. Look at where she is. Look at where I am. Why didn't I wear the shirt? Ah! And he just kept saying it over and over. Damn, I don't remember feeling this jealous ever. Look at her.
Yeah.
You could see her just having the time of her life on the stage, and getting in behind all the face-offs. It was pretty wild. Pretty cool that the UFC did that for the fans as well.
No, that's awesome. But here's the thing that I think he forgets. Okay, so if both you and your wife are up there, who's taking care of your children?
Yeah, right.
Well, you're just gonna be like, no, you're old enough. I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, it might have been hard to pawn off the kid. They might not even let the kid there. Yeah, he wasn't thinking too much about the kid, I think.
No, he was not. He didn't think about him at all. He's like, Dad, what about me? You're fine. Whatever. I don't care.
Yeah, no, that was hilarious. And it was, one of my only regrets that I didn't wear the shirt. I could have had a little bit better experience, but as I said, damn, it would have been hard to have much better of a great week. Let's turn to the co-main event. Charles Oliveira was getting the loudest ovation the entire week at the weigh-ins, at the press conferences, everywhere he was going. He was getting the loudest ovations in the arena. When he came walking in, it was deafening, and it was almost like we were in Brazil. I was shocked at the reception he got. I was most excited that Charles Oliveira was on this card, to be honest. I think he's the best fighter, from what he brings and all the amazing battles he's been in his entire UFC career, former champion as well. He just got an incredible ovation. The fight didn't start off too great for him, but once he got back to his feet, landed that head kick and, put it on Dariush. What an incredible win. And this was a pretty awesome performance and great to see live.
Just from his his body type, you wouldn't think Oliveira is just that much of a power striker, but he most certainly is.
Yeah.
My goodness, is he a power striker? Because with that head kick with the right leg of Oliveira's, Dariush blocked that.
Yeah, he had his hand up.
He had his hand up and he blocked it, but it didn't do him any good. He had his bell rung severely, and then once that from that head kick, that was the beginning of the end.
Sure,
we brought him back down to the ground, and then had to scramble a little bit to get in the proper position for the ground and pound. But once he started landing those heavy shots, man, it was over for Dariush. I was a little bit surprised because I'm like, I thought this was going to be like a rock'em sodom, like total complete battle.
Yeah,
and unfortunately, it just didn't go that way, because Oliveira got the better of him. Great win by Oliveira, like a dominating win by Oliveira. So there's no way that he doesn't now go right back and say, well, I'm fighting for the belt again. Yeah. After doing that to Dariush, who was on an 8-fight win streak, by the way.
Sure was.
Completely snapped. So, he's fighting for the belt again immediately. I don't know how you can say that he can.
Yeah, no, I think Islam Makhachev 2 is going to happen. It sure seems like it's a no-brainer. And Oliveira said, he had a terrible performance that night. It was just an off night for him. And, not Saturday, but they gave Makhachev the first time. And so, it'll be nice to see if he can rise his level up to his top level performance, and we can see the best Charles Oliveira against the best Makhachev, and just see if it turns out any different.
Yeah, I definitely looking forward to that fight. I can't wait to see that. I can't wait to because obviously he's coming in super hungry, and he's going to have a better performance than what he did the last time when he fought Makhachev. And I want to see if he can do better, obviously, or make it to the end of the round, or beat this guy.
Yeah.
because like he's one of the best, clearly. So I'm excited for that fight.
I want to talk about Mike Malott, proper Mike Malott. He's become probably Canada's top prospect now, top potential for career trajectory. A guy that seems like he's a no-brainer for top contender status very, very soon. He came into the cage, just narrowly missed getting hit by that barrier. Just seemed very focused after the fight, after this incredible win. Incredible, landed some very, very powerful shots, and then like a dog on a bone with that guillotine choke, chokes out Adam Fugit. Fugit ends up having to tap when he finally was able to get the mount of him. But Mike Malott really seems to be a guy that I think this country should get behind. I think a lot of fans should get behind. I think this is a really solid, good dude, as well as an incredible fighter. And I think the sky's the limit for him. I think he really has a lot of potential to go far with his career.
Yeah, I think he has the charisma. Obviously, he has the fighting skills. He's a blue chip prospect. Like I think going forward, Malott, the sky's the limit for him, as you just said. And Fugit really didn't have a chance in this fight. Malott hurt him early in the round one to the body. Was able to take him down with ease whenever he wanted to. And then that 1-2 in the round two that he hit him with just floored him. And then he was able to jump on his neck and just put that guillotine on him. Fugit tried to defend it, tried to roll, and it's just like, no. Now it's so much worse because now I'm on top.
Yeah.
And I'm punching your neck.
Yeah. Once he got that mount, he had to tap or he was going to sleep for sure. And I love when Mike took the microphone, the place was going so bananas that it was hard to hear, but I've watched it after. And he said that, he felt the pressure a little bit because Canadians were 5-0 as he was going towards the cage. He did not want to be the, one blemish on the undefeated Canadians record. And he said, there's no way the Maple Leaf militia was going to get stopped on this night. And he was saying some pretty fun, cool things to Daniel Cormier, and his personality is great. He said he's been training solidly since November up to this point, so he needs some time off right now. He said it wants to take about a month. He is cornering Andre Feely coming up in July, he said, and he's also a coach on Team Alpha Male down with the Uriah Faber's team. So he's got his coaching commitments as well as his cornering duties for guys. But this is a guy that has really, been able to go into Team Alpha Male, hone his craft, get better and better, and really step it up. And I hope it's not too much longer until we see him in the cage again, because I think he should fight pretty regularly and start getting himself up the ranks so he has a chance at a belt within the next couple of years.
Yeah, I think if you're young, you're new to the UFC, to the organization, I think the more time that you're in the octagon, the better off you are.
Yeah,
agree with you.
Okay, the Dan 50K Ige Nate Landwehr fight couldn't have turned out better for me. My feelings on Nate the Train, not a fan, but I am a fan of Dan Ige, and I'm glad to see him get the decision win. This was a very tough fight, but great to see the proper hand got hoisted in the air, and Ige got the decision win.
Yeah, like Landwehr was trying to make this fight dirty, but Ige just wouldn't allow it. He was by far and away the better technical, superior striker, and that's what showed from round one to round three. Landwehr, again, he tried, but it just seemed that Ige was steps ahead throughout the entirety of this fight.
Yeah. I forgot to mention that Oliveira got a 50K bonus. You sent me a message that said it was his 19th bonus in his UFC career. That's almost $1 million collected in bonuses over his entire UFC career. Mike Malott got a 50K bonus for one of the performances of the night. And this next fight that I want to talk about, the middleweight battle between Mark Andre the Power Barbario, and Eric Anders ended up getting the fight of the night. So both fighters got 50K bonuses for this fight, and I'm glad it was fight of the night. I agree. It was an amazing battle. Eric Anders is no joke, super tough guy. But Barrio really showed that he is improving to a level that he has a really good shot in the middleweight division. And he was up and down a little bit in his early days in the UFC, but I think now he's really turned it around, has matured, and this was a really, really big win.
No, it was a huge win because Anders kind of came out with a certain fury for the first 2 rounds, like especially after he got his bell rung in the first round and said, "Oh yeah, that's right, I'm in a fight. I better fight this guy." And then he came out with a certain intensity, but unfortunately, that intensity he couldn't sustain it in round 3, and that's where Burial could tell was beginning to start to take over because that dude's stamina and his conditioning is second to none. Yeah. Like as well conditioned as Anders was to go that hard for the first 2 rounds, he started fading in the third, and then Burial just came on. Where he's like, "Oh, I knew that was going to happen. I knew that would happen."
Yeah.
So,
I love his nickname Power Bar because he is a power bar. That is a cardio at that weight division. You don't see guys be able to sustain their gas tank that well and put that much pressure on guys all the way through 3 rounds, and that's what he does, and that's what he did in this one, and gave him the chance to win.
Yeah, it definitely did, and it wasn't an easy fight, man. Anders definitely did not give that fight away. Barrio had to earn every inch in that fight. It was a great fight, by far and away. Yes, definitely the best fight of the night.
Yeah. Okay, prelims. Unfortunately, we had a no contest in the featured fight on the prelims. Nasruddin Imavov and Chris the Action Man Curtis clashed, heads collided, and Curtis was having some sight issues with his eye, had a pretty nasty cut, and after Jason Herzog and the doctor discussed it for a while and tried their best to give him an opportunity, he couldn't continue. They called it a no contest. Really disappointed. I was looking forward to seeing these guys battle through a big fight, but that happens. We've seen it happen recently, and they got to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, hopefully they reschedule this fight at some point in time later on down the road. But from what I had it for up until the fight was unfortunately discontinued, I thought Imavov was winning this fight. I thought his distance management was great. He was popping that jab. And Curtis was still he was having difficulty trying to find his way inside without getting hit as much. Sure. Because he knew he was going to have to take some hits, but he was still having difficulty getting it within his striking range. So I hope at some point in time, I don't know when, but I really do hope they redo this fight because it needs to be redone.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, sure hope so. I agree. Okay, let's talk about the women's flyweight fight between Jasmine Jasdavicius and Miranda Maverick. Jasmine was a big underdog, about a 3-1 underdog against Miranda Maverick, who was ranked going into this one. And Jasmine ended up beating her up really bad in the last 2 rounds for sure, and really secured a win that she was not expected to have. Miranda Maverick is a big name in the sport, and somebody that the UFC has been trying to push to the front of the women's division there in the women's flyweight, and Jasmine gets the huge win in front of the home crowd.
Yeah, no, she looked fantastic. She was a lady on a mission. Apparently, now post-fight, obviously, Maverick was dealing with an eye issue throughout the course of that fight, and to the point where she couldn't see out of her left eye for the 3rd round.
Oh, crap.
So she was especially concerned about, having the availability, like having her sight impeded or not actually having it come back at all. Right. So she was a little bit worried about that, and it obviously affected her performance. But you can't take anything away from Jasdavicius. She came in with a great game plan, stuck with the game plan, And the one thing that I thought that was really good of her was that she continued her combinations. She didn't just throw 1, 2. She continued to 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a very key part of her win.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, she pushed forward and she would just throw 2, 3, 4, continue pushing it back, and it was obvious that she wasn't just trying to land a couple and get out of striking range. She was just going right at her and landing, and very, very technically sound striking. It was straight punches, and they were almost always landing. So yeah, good on her. Very, very big, great performance. Sad to see, sad to hear about Miranda. Hopefully she can regain her sight immediately in her eye, and it's nothing too serious. That's got to be a bit of a worry when you're fighting and you can only see out of one eye for sure. Okay, another Canadian who has a bit of a royalty name in Canadian mixed martial arts. Amen Zahabi, Faras's younger brother, came into this fight. He should have had a walk-off knockout. Beats Arichi Lang with just a massive shot that took him down. Unfortunately, the ref didn't just immediately wave it off, because Arichi Lang ended up taking some unnecessary shots when he was scrambled and down on the ground, and shouldn't have. This should have been a walk-off victory, but nonetheless, very impressive win. I just wish Zahabi would fight more. We only see him once every year or two. He has the potential to really go far. His brother is probably the greatest coach of all time in this country's history. George St. Pierre's coach and coach of many, many amazing fighters out of TriStar. I always thought his brother had such a great opportunity with his opportunity to have your brother there coaching you and taking you to the heights. I just wish we saw him more. I think he could have really turned this into such an incredible career, but to take nothing away from a really big win in front of the home crowd as well.
No, it was a huge win, and it was unexpected because, Zahabi's not really known for his power. No. Man, did he show that night? Hit Al with a huge left hook. No, and it should have been just him walking away. Now, I've thought about this a couple times. Okay, so obviously the ref didn't call the fight when he should have, so then Al had to take some unnecessary punishment and then really be out, whereas he's now limp. Is that enough for you? Is that good enough?
Yeah.
So if how about this? If you're not happy with that, right? You go, oh, is the fight still continuing? Okay, then tell him to get up. Right. That's what I would do. What if he just said, "Oh, okay, then tell him to get up." What's wrong? Why can't he get up? Oh, I guess the fight's over then.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah, I'd love to see a fighter do that, because I don't think he could have got up at that moment. He was scrambled looking.
No way. So I'm looking forward to, it's going to happen at some point, where a guy goes, "No, that should have been a walk-off home run. Okay, knockout win. All right, well, just tell the guy get up. We'll continue." Right. Oh, nothing's happening. Oh, okay, I guess we're
Yeah, that's good. I love it. You should you should post that somewhere and tell guys to do that next time, because he could have easily done that, and that fight could not have continued. The guy wasn't getting up at that moment.
No, it's not. No,
that was great. But yeah, let's hope Zahabi is 35 years old, starting to get along in the tooth in the MMA world. He's only had that 2-fight losing streak, and the rest of his career he's been so good, so solid. Usually his ground game is the one, what takes him far. If he's got a great striking game as well, he really could enter the upper echelon in this bantamweight division. And I would love to see another great guy coming out of TriStar again that should try to get to his top potential.
Yeah, but the only way he's going to do that is he needs to be a little bit more available. He needs to fight more. You know what? He's an older guy and he's got his family and stuff. So I think these things might be a little bit harder for him. Sure. But if he wants to make that push, well, he doesn't have a lot of time. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. The fight that kicked off the prelims was the fight between Kyle the Monster Nelson against Blake Builder. Kyle's another Canadian boy. ends up getting a decision in a tough featherweight fight. Blake Builder's no joke, and brought a lot of fight to Nelson, but great to see Nelson get the victory here and be the Canadian that kicked off the main prelims card with a victory.
Yeah, you know what, he was Nelson's takedown defense along the fence was great. It was fantastic. His leg kicks to the calf were great too as well, and he was just a slightly step ahead in the striking department against Builder. But definitely what helped him was not being taken down as easily, because I think Builder probably thought he had the advantage in the grappling department. He did not.
No, he did not. No, that's true. Early prelims, I know they weren't televised, so you weren't watching. I watched them live, and I'd like to make a couple of mentions. In the one early prelim, Steve Urseg, late replacement, came in fight week, I believe. He got called in all the way from Australia, had to come in and fight a tough guy, David Dvorak. Got the upset decision win and got $50K bonus for the victory. So pretty sweet. Changed his life right away. And he's 10-1 in his career, facing a guy that was 20-5 coming in. So a guy that had a ton of experience. And he got a really big win. That was super impressive. And Dana made mention of that a few times in the post-fight press conference. And then the fight that kicked off the whole thing, early prelim, it was Diana Babita, Canadian, against Maria Spider-Girl Oliveira. And Babita ended up getting the decision victory, kicked off and started the momentum the Canadians needed. She took the mic and really started cheering, giving out a lot of praise to how great she felt and how much support she felt from the Rogers Arena crowd. And yeah, good on her. Way to start it off well with the Canadian victory, and 6-0 on the evening. It just couldn't go better for Canadian MMA.
No, it could not have gone better for Canadian MMA. And it's fantastic that we had a packed house supporting our Canadian talent, and willing to spend the money to support our Canadian talent, which is the most important thing. So awesome stuff.
$5 million went into Dana White's bank account. He had to pay out a few $50,000 out of that, but $5 million was the gate. I wish the UFC wasn't charging that much for tickets, but that's the way it goes, I guess. And yeah, but it was fantastic night. Dana White said they'll be coming back to Vancouver very soon. He said Toronto's next on the docket for a Canadian card, and we'll be going there. A lot of other Canadian cities are clamoring for another card, but because it was such a great result, and I think the UFC was so impressed that I could see it coming to Vancouver on an annual basis now from now on, and we'll get to see it at least once a year here locally.
Yeah, I can see that too. The only thing is the UFC might check your railings. Like that'd be cool. Just as a safety concern for the fans and stuff, and then for our fighters who could be potentially taken out by the railing, right? And not make the fight.
Right.
So if you could do that for us, we have no problem coming back. Thanks.
Exactly. Yeah. Please deal with the railing. Yeah, that would be nice. And yeah, please deal with the drunken idiots that yell out a lot of things during the night too. I told you about it. I've told a couple people there are some guys that just don't know how to handle their liquor, and they just make things annoying for people. Just come on. Just don't think about yourself. Think about other people around you. We had some guys in my section that I really wish didn't come, because they kind of put a bit of a damper on things for me. But that's here nor there. The rest of the night was great and a lot of fun, and I'm glad we had another great UFC fight week here in Vancouver. Lots of good fights coming up, and yeah, I guess we have the next fight night coming up is Marvin Vettori against Jared Cannonier. It's a touch early card. 6 o'clock is the main card, Pacific time, 9 o'clock early. I like this middleweight battle. I think this could be, I could probably call this one of the fights of the year right off the bat, just looking at it.
Yeah, it's they're both rugged, sturdy fighters. So they're both going to come to bang. They both come forward. Neither one backs off. This is a great matchup.
Yeah.
Fantastic matchup. They nailed this one. This is a good one.
Yeah. Any other fights that you want to mention on the card? We're running out of time, but
the beginning of the main card, Nicholas Dalby, Muslim Salikov fight.
Yep.
Again, I think styles make fights. That's stylistically a great fight. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that'll be good. Yeah, there's lots of good looking fights, and I'm sure we'll have some really great breakdowns for you next week. I do want to make one more mention about some UFC. You sent me this video. Conor McGregor decided that he was going to land a punch on the Miami Heat mascot, and that guy ended up going to the hospital. It went really wrong. I think I don't know how this got set up. I don't know if he knew Conor was going to hit him or not, but you should not take punches from professional fighters like that. And don't lean on railings and don't get punched by professional fighters. That's probably the best way to stay out of the hospital.
Well, okay, this is what I'm going to say. I am going to say this because I have some experience putting on a mascot outfit, because I have done that back in the day.
Right.
You don't actually realize that how much you can hurt a person since he has that big head on. So you think there's like a buffer there. There is no buffer. There is no buffer. Wow. So if from when I slowed it down, I'm like, it looks like Conor really leaned into that punch. Like the first punch to knock him down, where I'm like, yeah, that guy's probably like, the guy really just like throw a haymaker at me? And to Conor's defense, he's probably like, I just threw it at 40%. You're 40%, that pretty much that hurts everybody else. Right? Right. You have to remember that. It's like you're a professional fighter. That's a normal human being. That hasn't fought for 30 years of his life. Okay.
Right.
So when you throw a punch and you think, I took a lot of steam off, it wasn't a big deal. It's like, no, big deal. Big deal.
Yeah, no, that was tough to see. I don't think you should mess around, and even if it was some kind of staged thing, just avoid it. Don't do it. You're playing with fire there, and Conor McGregor didn't look like he held back at all. Just threw everything at it, and that guy's gonna be hurting for days. So yeah. That was a pretty wild moment. Okay, I want to turn to the world of boxing. I didn't get to see this fight live, but I really wish I would have. But I've seen some highlights, and I saw some stuff come out between Teofimo Lopez and Josh Taylor fought on Saturday night. And Lopez ended up getting the victory, a unanimous decision win. He won the WBO junior welterweight title, and he has been able to capture 2 belts in his career, and decided today that he was retiring at the age of 25 years old. He is walking away from the world of boxing. He said that he just wants to make sure he has his head intact, does not want to take any more shots to the dome and have any lasting effects long into his life. 2-time undisputed champion, was able to get some huge wins, especially when he beat Vasily Lomachenko. His only loss came to George Kambosos, and that's it. 19-1 in his career, and had a pretty decorated career, but quite surprising to see him walking away at such a young age. I don't know if he can be enticed back. There's possibility of him fighting Devin Haney. There was talk about maybe Tank Davis, different guys out there, but this caught a lot of people by surprise today when he announced his retirement. He said he's opening a combat gym in South Florida, and he really just does not want to take any more punches to the head.
Like whenever I hear somebody like retiring like that, and they're pretty early in their career, I have to think that there's something actually more catastrophically wrong health-wise. And that he's been warned probably by a number of professionals saying, well, if you keep going, man, there's no guarantee that you're going to come out of this unscathed with whatever's going on with him.
Could be.
Don't know.
Could be.
But when it comes to that kind of stuff, that's when I always have a reservation of, okay, so maybe like those headshots that he keeps getting, if he's beginning to even have inklings of short-term memory loss, or what are you talking about? I don't remember doing that. It's like, you just did that.
Yeah.
And like, if things like that begin to keep creeping up over and over again, yeah, you really need to take your health in consideration. You need to understand, it's like, do I want to continue doing this and then down the line potentially not remember where I live? Not remember where I live.
Yeah, that's
make the money, or just stop right now and have my faculties intact.
Yeah.
That sometimes those are the real conversations you have to have with yourself. Some people go one way, some people go the other. He went this way. I give him all credit in the world, because only he knows his body as well as he does.
Sure.
And if those things are beginning to happen, then yeah, I totally, I would back any sort of combat professional. If these things are beginning to happen, you're gonna have to take a serious look on if you should even continue doing your career, or is it trying to hang them up and do something else? Because the brain, the mind, is the most important faculty that you'll have in this world, in this life. And once it starts to be continually injured, it's very hard to get it back.
Yeah. Well said. I appreciate everything you said there. It's definitely and sometimes pushed aside as a secondary thing that you have to deal with and think about. But it's good to see young guys, if they are dealt this types of news, that they walk away and can do with their head held high, and have a great life going forward. He's made a lot of money, and he's got a lot of fame, and if I'm sure this combat gym will be super successful, and he'll be able to keep going on and on. Unfortunately, at some point, a lot of combat fighters have that addiction, have that need to be back in the spotlight. The money lures them back at times. Different aspects do. We'll see, if this retirement sticks. We've seen a lot of guys say, that's it, I'm done, and come back time and again. So, yeah, when I saw this news today, I was disappointed, because I really have enjoyed watching him fight. But I'm happy for a guy if he has a very long, very great life, instead of a couple of good years that he's going to have in the ring, if that's going to be detrimental to that long life.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, because I've seen way too many boxers where all of a sudden, now that their career is over and they should be enjoying their life, they can barely talk.
Yeah.
They're slurring the words all the time because they've taken too many shots to the dome. And that's a travesty, man. Like, that's just so incredibly sad that you're not able to enjoy the fruits of your labor. Not to the utmost, anyways.
Yeah. Well, this is a good segue into the next story I want to talk about. We had this weekend a 46-year-old fighter fighting again, one of the best of all time, and a guy that maybe slurred his words even before he stepped into the ring, Floyd Mayweather. But Floyd Mayweather was fighting this past weekend. He's 46 years old. Once he retired, and he decided that he would still fight, like Conor McGregor and a few guys after that. It's been exhibition fights, so it doesn't count to this 50-0 dream record that he was able to get. But he decided to fight John Gotti III. Yep, John Gotti III, the mafioso boss's son. So he was able to get into the ring and fight him. This was an 8-round fight that was scheduled. Sometime in the 6th round, the referee called off the fight, and an absolute brawl ensued. One of the ugliest brawls I've ever seen at a boxing event, and it was ugly. It was pretty brutal and crazy, and glad it was not there. I'm glad it was in Vancouver at the UFC. This turned into an ugly incident, and man, it wasn't fun to see. I really wish these types of things weren't happening so often, because they're kind of ridiculous shows. John Gotti, I think he became a boxer like a year or two ago, and suddenly he's fighting Floyd Mayweather. This nuts, stupid, and this shouldn't happen. It was crazy, 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 this brawl that ended up breaking out.
Yeah, yeah. Well, first off, he had the opportunity to fight Floyd because of his name. That's number one.
Right.
Number two, I saw it briefly, highlights, Instagram. I never got the reason why he stopped the fight. I don't know why he waved off the fight.
Yeah.
Like that's the one thing I still have a question of. Like, what did he do? Was there like some sort of foul that was just absurd that had to call the fight? I don't know what happened. But I know what happened after he called the fight over. Gotti said, "There's no way that this fight is over." I have never seen a fighter just go, "Fight's not over. Get out of my way." Drops the ref and comes after Floyd. Well, if you're going to do that, you're going to have to understand there's going to be consequences to those actions, which is freaking brawl.
Yeah.
That's what happened, right?
Yeah.
Because he started throwing punches at Floyd where the fight is over, and Floyd's like, "I'm just supposed to make an easy 25 million. What are you doing?" Like, this is not what I signed up for, right?
Stupid, yeah.
Luckily, he didn't get hurt. He got pushed out of the way. I have no idea what happened to John Gotti because it looked like he got rushed by like 20 dudes.
Yeah.
So
he did. So what? From what I gather, the referee's name is Kenny Bayless, famous referee, been around forever. Yeah, he had warned the fighters through the fight, using some abusive language, trash talking, and some rough techniques as they were getting tied up and stuff. He had warned them on multiple occasions, and when the trash talk and those rough sort of tactics kept happening, he just jumped up and just said, "That's it, fight over." As you mentioned, Gotti shoving Bayless out of the way. Then all of Mayweather's team and security guards just came in and rushed him. It looked like Gotti did get probably hurt in the melee because there was punches being thrown in his direction from a lot of people. Luckily, he finally got escorted out, and I didn't hear he went to the hospital, but it was it was an ugly scene, and not a fun event in the end. And unfortunately, a lot of these are just kind of a joke, and they're not really something that we should be paying big money for and trying to support. They end up just being just money grabs for these fighters, really.
Yeah, it's just a money grab. Like, it's always been a money grab for Mayweather since he's retired. But at the same time, he's an excellent businessman. This is the easiest money that he's ever made in his freaking life, where he's just like, "Oh, I just do these exhibitions. I make 20 to 30 million. It's pretty cool." And he's making more money than even the boxers that are fighting for real.
Yeah.
And he's just doing all this exhibition nonsense. Now, the thing that I would be just a tad, like if I was part of Mayweather's team, I'd be a tad worried about is the fact that he is the grandson of a former mafia don. So what does that mean? He's probably still involved with the mafia.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
When you bum rushed him to beat him up and said, "Okay, job well done," is it?
Yeah.
The guy decides to come after you, man.
Those guys don't play fair, do they?
They don't play fair. They play for keeps.
They play for keeps. Yeah, it's pretty scary having have mob guys that want to exact some revenge for just punching them in the head or something like that. It's not a good thing. So yeah, I wouldn't be messing with any mafia types of guys at all. That's for sure.
No, man. And I give Mayweather all the credit in the world. He said, I'll take on this kid, whatever. And who knew that the kid would be a loose cannon? Maybe he's always has been. Who knows? But like at the end of the day, his security team are not at fault. As far as I'm concerned, they're paid to protect his personage, and that's what they did. Yeah. But there may be other repercussions that fall out from this. We'll see. We'll
Yeah,
see.
we'll see. Yeah. Okay, we talked about some goats that were at the UFC event in Vancouver. I also witnessed some goats on Sunday morning. There was two goats that came together celebrating one goat's victory at the French Open at the Roland Garros tennis courts in France. Novak Djokovic became the highest, or he secured his 23rd Grand Slam win, becoming the all-time winningest Grand Slam men's singles champion. And he passed Rafael Nadal, who's won 11 of the French Opens. Djokovic ended up getting it, and sitting in his box watching the fight, or watching the match live, was Tom Brady. And Tom Brady had his phone out and trying to capture the moment. And when Djokovic got the winning point and celebrated with the fans, he ran over, hugged his wife, and then he hugged Tom Brady. And I got to see two goats cheering on each other and hugging. It was kind of cool and wild and pretty neat that those guys are friends. And, Tom, the greatest football player of all time, and Novak now considered the greatest tennis player of all time.
I think he messed up, though. He honestly did. He should have hugged Tom first, wife second. That's what he could have done.
Gonna put that in his contract next time.
Yeah.
Put that in the prenup with the wife. Yeah, I get to hug my buddy, the goat, before you.
Yeah.
You can't divorce
me. That's just the way it should be. That's the way it should have been. It's like, I think it would have played so much better. It's like, oh, is he going to hug he's going to hug Tom first.
Wouldn't that have been awesome? That would have got a lot of press. Probably even more. Probably would have got more viral press than just getting this huge win for him. That would have been awesome.
And then just going, honey, I'll be with you in a second. Be with you in a second. Come here, Tom. Bring it in. Bring it in.
Damn, that's awesome. Yeah, so that was great. Incredible victory, an amazing career. It's still continuing. He still seems to be getting better and being one of the best in the world. And I don't see this Grand Slam streak stopping at 23. I see him being able to go on. He beat Casper Ruud 7-6, 6-3, 7-5 in the final, and his 23rd Grand Slam. He tied Serena Williams for the most of all time. And it was an epic moment. I'm glad I got to witness it this weekend as well. It was fun. Tonight, we've got Game 5, NBA Final. It looks like Denver Nuggets are about to be crowned champions. Maybe not tonight, maybe Thursday, maybe on the weekend, but it looks like after being able to take both games in Miami and take a 3-1 stranglehold on this series, it looks like Denver is going to get their first NBA championship in their 47-year history of the franchise. And I don't think that there's anything Miami can do about it. This Cinderella story that Miami is on seems to have been finally, this glass slipper has been broken, and it doesn't seem like Miami's going to be able to pull this off. Do you see it even going past tonight?
You know what Game 3 and 4 showed me? There's a talent gap between the two teams.
Yeah.
And I think everybody's been like, oh, it's been pretty obvious from the beginning that there's a talent gap between the two teams.
Yeah.
And it showed up in Game 3. Like, not only did Jokic and Murray have the first 30-point triple-double ever in the finals, ever in, like, I think the playoffs. Like, it was just amazing. They were on another level. Yeah. But also, too, they had 15 big points from Christian Brown.
Yeah, right.
And that was a big deal. That's what helped them beat the Heat. And then in Game 4, the other guy that stepped up was Aaron Gordon with 27 points, as Jokic was in foul trouble for the bulk of that game. They have the wherewithal to have guys that step up. And the one guy that's been kind of invisible, and if he had been stepping up this entire time and having great games, which is Michael Porter Jr., this series would have been over.
Yeah.
The series would have been over if he was actually shooting the ball well. So I think there's just been a complete talent gap that's been like incredibly hard for the Heat to try to overcome. They did it one game. I don't know if they can do it again.
Yeah.
I don't know if they can do it
The
again.
you mentioned Gordon having that 27 incredible performance. He's really stepped up in this final and been very, very key. Bruce Brown getting 21 off the bench, coming in and really being great. The thing that's so massive of a difference in the talent gap that you mentioned to me is the backcourt. Max Strus and Gabe Vincent held to 2 points between them. 2 points in game 4. I don't know what's happened to those two guys. They were being talked as two of these undrafted, incredible guys that are on this phenomenal run, so underpaid, so undervalued. Look what they've brought to the table for the Heat, and the Heat aren't on this run unless they've been able to step up and do what they've done. And all of a sudden, somehow Denver has just completely taken them right out of this game, out of this series. And I don't know what Miami does. Kyle Lowry tries to come in. He, contributed pretty well in that 4th game, but this is a 35-year-old guy that has many miles on the legs, and just isn't that guy that you can count on anymore to be that starter and give you the minutes. But what has happened to Strus and Vincent? That's what I'd really like to know.
They've just kind of been shut down and they've disappeared. And they need to do a reappearance if the Heat have any chance of winning this game tonight. Yeah. Any chance. Those two need to show up. You know what? I'm just going to say this. Everybody needs to show up for the Heat.
Yeah.
Everybody, there has to be a collective effort on everybody on the Heat side to win this game. Yeah. Because for a fact Denver's like, I'd rather just finish this thing off in Denver and not have to go back to Miami.
Yeah.
So they're going to come out guns ablazing. So, and then the Heat are going to have to come out with a certain defensive intensity and it's going to have to be sustained intensity throughout the entirety of the game. Yeah. They're going to have to throw everything at them just to win this game. I still don't know if they can do that.
Yeah. It seems like too tall of a task. I've just seen a discrepancy in the talent level and the ability for Denver. Denver has too many weapons, and Miami has started to lose all their weapons. Tyler Hero makes an appearance tonight. First time back since breaking his hand in the first round. Hopefully he's able to shoot the ball well with no limitations and, contribute. He was, their second leading scorer for most of the season. And, it's a guy that can really, contribute, to your offense. That has been lacking seriously from the 3-point range. Miami wins a lot of games when they can, score 10 to 15 3-pointers in a game, and they're really not being able to produce from a 3-point standpoint. He's been out so long. Do you think he makes any impact tonight when he comes in?
Hopefully he can make some sort of impact. And you're right. He has been out for so long. I think the Heat are looking to get a spark from somewhere and from somebody. And it's got to be more than just Butler and Adebayo. They've actually been very consistent throughout this entire run, throughout this entire finals. So they need it from somewhere else besides those two guys. And if whatever Hero can give them, I'm sure they're more than they're just happy to have whatever he can give. Yeah, whatever he can.
I think one of the biggest keys for victory for Miami tonight is for Jimmy Butler to shut down Jamal Murray and anybody else that ends up defending him. If they're able to take Murray out and hold him to 15 points or anything less than 20, I think Miami has a shot here. But it seems like when Djokovic and Murray are together, they seem to be able to work off each other in such great capacity that Murray ends up getting those open shots and getting 25, 30 points. And if he does score that again, I think Denver takes the series and wins it all tonight.
Yeah, they have the best 2-man action, obviously, in the NBA, and it's just incredibly hard to guard. And And the Heat have switched up their defensive coverages on that. Like, they've tried everything, and nothing seems to really stick. So then, but that's an attribute to how good those guys are, especially Nikola Jokic, which is you can only slow him down so much. He's still going to get his triple double.
I thought the Heat had a pretty good game plan. They put it on the Joker and they got him in foul trouble early, and I think that's necessary. I think Bam has that ability. Bam is very athletic and can get a lot of fouls on Nikola Jokic, but I don't know if those other weapons will step up. You got Aaron Gordon, you got Jamal Murray, and Bruce Brown. Had a great game. You mentioned Michael Porter. We haven't seen a ton from him, but he can, go off at any time. We'll see what Miami does for a game plan. They were able to beat Denver on their home court, the only team that has beat them out of 10 games this season. But this is a tall task. Asking Miami to win 3 games in a row and try to take the series. I think Denver's going to hoist the trophy. It could be tonight. It might be later on in the series, but if I was a betting man, I don't think I'd be putting too much money on Miami right now.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I don't think I'd put too much money on Miami. Again, it just seems pretty clear to me that there's a talent gap between the two teams, and it's growing as the finals are continuing.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, yeah, tip-off is in about an hour from now. 5:30 tip-off from Denver. Pacific time, 8:30 Eastern. Good luck. Hopefully Miami can extend this. I want the series to keep going, but after those 2 victories, my faith is a little bit dropped in Miami's ability this year. It might have to wait till next year. 2 stories came out of Toronto today. The Raptors are looking at their next coach being Darko Rakovic. He was an assistant coach with the Memphis Grizzlies most recently, has been assistant coach in many capacities, and was a national coach in Serbia, I guess. And Fred VanVleet has opted out of his contract and will become a free agent. He walked away from $28.8 million contract for this upcoming year, and sort of shocked the Raptors front staff by saying he will enter into free agency. I don't know if they're going to be able to sign him, but I know they're going to try. It doesn't mean that he's gone from Toronto for sure, but I think there's going to be a lot of players on the open market that are going to try to sign this guy.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of interest for Fred VanVleet. He's going to be one of the best out there to be snapped up by whatever team. I'll be curious to see what team offers him what, and where he wants to go. Who does he want to play with? Where he wants to go, because I'm sure he's going to get a ton of offers, and I'm very sure he'll probably want to play for a contending team. I don't think he just wants to go just anywhere. So I'm curious to see how much he's going to garner on the open market, how much he's worth, whether the Raptors can even re-sign him at whatever number he's going to get.
Yeah.
And then
Fred has played his entire 7-year NBA career with the Raptors. He was very instrumental in that 2019 championship run. Undrafted, was able to come in. Last season, he averaged 19 points and 7 assists, ranked in the top 10 in assist to turnover ratio. One thing that I noticed that blew me away was over the past 3 seasons, he's averaged the second most minutes in the NBA, 37 minutes a game, second only behind teammate Pascal Siakam. He led the NBA in miles covered on the floor in each of the past 3 seasons. So a guy that's very, very valuable. He's ranked 3rd in the NBA in steals and 1st in deflections in this past year, and he's one of only 2 players to have 1,000 3-pointers for the Raptors, along with Kyle Lowry, and only one of 2 players to have the franchise's single game record for both points and assists behind only or alongside Wilt Chamberlain when he was with the 76ers. That's pretty cool to have you side by side with Wilt. Nobody else in the history of the NBA to have a single game record for points and assists. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. And you know what? Now that I think about it, maybe the front office of the Raptors shouldn't have been surprised that he opted out, because this guy has been on record of, I bet on myself. I'll always bet on myself. Sure. And once again, that's what he's doing again, because it's very easy for him to say, just take the whatever it was, 29 million or whatever it was, right? Yeah. But instead, he goes, no, I think I'm worth a little more than that. I'll take it instead.
Yeah, he probably can get some pretty big dollars on the open market. Toronto also has a unrestricted free agent in Jakob Poeltl, so they've got to come up with some money for him. Gary Trent Jr. has a player option. He can decide to sign it or become a unrestricted free agent as well. And they have extensions eligible for two guys, Pascal Siakam and OG Anunoby. So more money coming out. It's going to be Bobby Green and Sai Ujiri are going to have to figure this out. Going to be a lot of work in this offseason.
It's going to be a lot of work for them, and it's going to be a lot of work for all the other NBA teams, especially with the new CBA, with the way that it's structured and the way it's coming out, which is supposed to be more garnered towards the small market, so that the big market teams just can't keep adding talent. Yeah. Because if they do that, then there's going to be they're going to be hindered in certain ways. So, everybody's going to have to do an adjustment. It's going to be interesting to see what the new NBA begins to look like. Maybe not even next year, but the year after that. So, yeah.
It's going to be amazing off season. I typically hate the NFL in the off season because we hear a report, oh, this guy's getting released, and it takes about a month before he gets released, and then we're waiting weeks and weeks and weeks for any kind of deal get together, and it's just a lot of talk and speculation, and nothing seems to happen. Like DeAndre Hopkins was supposed to get released about 2 months ago, and then he finally gets released about a week and a half ago or something, and nobody's signing this guy. Like, what the hell? Why do we have to wait so long? Like, DeAndre Hopkins, one of the greatest receivers in the NFL, and nobody's signing him? Like, well, why do we have to wait? It's so frustrating. NBA, I enjoy their offseason a lot more. There's lots of deals. There's lots of fun stuff. There's not speculation. It's just done. Deal's done. Chris Paul's going here. Fred VanVleet's going there. LeBron's going here. The things are done. NFL's just so frustrating in this offseason. And this offseason and every offseason, it's just all this talk, and it takes forever to make any major deals.
Yeah. The NFL has always been like that, where it's just rumorville. And it's just like it's almost like they're on a delayed reaction. They're slow, all right? And then finally, when something does happen, you're like, wait, didn't you report on that like 2 months ago? Exactly. Now we. Yeah. Okay, that's nobody cares. So yeah, man, it's unfortunate, but that's just the way the NFL does their business, and the NBA is more of, if we're gonna say we're gonna do something, we're gonna do it right. Yeah. Because then it's already been done. Now you can report.
Yeah. It's been a great NBA season. If tonight's the last night, I'm looking fondly upon it. A lot of great things happen. A lot of interesting teams emerge. A lot of great players. This was a spectacular, fun NBA season, and I'm going to look fondly upon the 2023 season for sure.
Yeah, I am as well. And if it does end tonight, Jokic is very deserving of his first championship. That does happen. And I couldn't be happier for our Canadian Jamal Murray coming back from a devastating injury to do this in the playoffs. Yeah. So that's certainly a great vindication for him.
Very incredible, yeah. And I find it amazing that tonight could be the last game of the NBA final, and tomorrow night could be the last game of the Stanley Cup final. The Florida Panthers are on the verge of losing. They are also down 3-1 to the Las Vegas Golden Knights. It's amazing that both the NHL and the NBA finals have been in Florida this week, and these two teams have went on such a rise, both being 8 seeds and going up. But it looks like, as I said, Cinderella is done. I heard some people asked Dana White this week about Vegas possibly winning the cup, and he said this is so huge. This team has taken over the city, and it is electric, and it is incredible that there's going to be finally a championship for Vegas, it looks like. And he said you just don't even know. People that don't live in Vegas have no clue how massive the Golden Knights are and how huge this is for the city.
Yeah, which is great. Which is great that the Golden Knights have made such a splash in Vegas, because it's Vegas. There's a lot of stuff to do in Vegas, man. There's a ton. There's a ton of stuff you can do that's where your priorities are going to go. That's where your interest lies. But I'm glad that they've taken over the city, and then people are invested in the team.
Yeah, and great for Denver if this happens for them tonight. They haven't had a championship since the Broncos won the Super Bowl, and very nice to see them hoist the first ever trophy, 47 years waiting. This is good for small market franchises and good for teams that draft well and build within and do things the right way. And nice to see if Vegas and Denver can win this. It looks like they both will. Good for two smaller markets.
No, it's great. And it's also, too, it's great because of, especially for Denver, just the way that they built their team. They built it through the draft with some key trades to fill out their roster. I think that's the way that most teams should be built.
Yeah.
Build it through the draft, get your players there, and then build out your roster with players that complement your team.
Yeah. Yeah, super excited. This week, the U.S. Golf Open Golf Tournament starts. It's down in L.A., starts on Thursday. Nick Taylor, I'm putting money on him now after that incredible performance this week at the Canadian Open. And 7 Canadians are teeing off now in this tournament. This is going to be incredible. I think that's the most ever Canadians that have been able to represent in the U.S. Open. And this is the best year that we've ever had for Canadians winning on the PGA Tour. 4 players have had victories on the PGA Tour this year. Nick Taylor, Mackenzie Hughes, Corey Connors, and Adam Svensson, who's also a BC boy. So very cool, incredible, great to see. This was a big Canadian weekend. Nice to see Canada celebrated so much. Nice to see the UFC finally coming north of the border. Nice to see a Canadian finally breaking that 69-year drought. And a Canadian might be hoisting the NBA Larry O'Brien trophy tonight, and Jamal Murray. Go Canada. And I know a lot of you watch from the US. We love you, but it's really nice to celebrate this great country and the achievements and accomplishments of our athletes. We're very proud.
Oh, of course, as we should be, because there's not very many of us as compared to the amount of Americans down south. So whenever we can accomplish, it's a great accomplishment for everybody.
Glad you wore the red today for for representing Canada. Perfect. I should have done the same.
Well, you know what? Some of us get it, some of us don't.
I'm just trying to represent the best sponsor that they had this week. And that's it. But how do you like my shirts? Nice shirts. I like this Vancouver one. It's got the cityscape in the background. UFC 289 on that.
It looks great. Looks great, man. Looks fantastic.
I love him. Yeah, there was a lot of nice swag there. Spent way too much money, but hey, it was worth it. Had a hell of a good weekend, and hope you have a great week ahead. Enjoy the game tonight. Thanks for doing this. And I'm sure we'll be texting quite a bit over tonight and over the coming days.
Oh, yeah. You betcha, man. Enjoy the game yourself, and have a great evening.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Jason. Cheers. Bye for now.
Great.
Okay. Wow. Another great episode in the Complete Sports Media podcast era. Make sure you check out our website. Lots of great pictures from UFC 289. Also our Instagram, we've got some videos there. We've got some posts, and please give us some views, give us some likes, give us some comments. Lots of stuff coming fast and furious. I'm trying my best to answer all your comments. I'm trying my best. I appreciate the support. It's been awesome, growing and growing and growing. I'm really, really thrilled at how many people are following us on Instagram and checking out our website as well as YouTube and stuff. Thanks for everybody that contributes to this. Really got to give a big shout out to Lorraine for all her great help to put this together. I'm glad we could enjoy the UFC this weekend here, and let's hope it's not very long before it comes north of the border here. We're gonna go and see every Canadian card we can. That's really amazing to be able to be local here and seeing the Canadiana and the patriotism and all that. So yeah, I'm glad I could share my excitement of one of the best weekends of my life, and really great to see all the amazing things come together. And yeah, thanks again to the support. I do want to recognize some of our partners and sponsors that do support us a lot. Anchor.fm, easiest place to make a podcast. Fantastic on posting on multiple podcast platforms for us. Appreciate their support. Verbero, the hockey equipment and apparel company, an industry leader in technology, performance, and value. And the V350 stick is a must-have if you're a hockey player. I want to thank Pampas and Possibilities, really phenomenal at coming in, giving you some West Coast vibes, making your house look pretty and sprucing it up. Recommend them to do that for you. And Forever Living, the aloe vera company for health and beauty products. Great products that we use here and you can use at your home. Get them at discounted rates on our website. Appreciate that support, of course. And hope you guys enjoy your week. Yeah, we're getting so close to summer, the official summer. It feels like summer out there. And yeah, loving the weather, loving all the fun stuff that's happening. Getting to be playing golf a lot this week. So wish me luck and take care of yourself. I look forward to talking to you very soon. Love you. Bye for now.